Welcome back to our worldwide viewership. Special shout out to people in Kathmandu, Quebec. We're back up here on the Upper East Side on 77th Street, number 4. We're going to run into the Michael Werner Gallery. We're going to take a walk through, a stroll through an exhibition of new paintings by Markus Lüpertz. Markus Lüpertz's Arcadia series depicts a confluence of classical forms and mythical figures. His paintings of nudes, skulls, still lifes, along with images of centaurs and muses, places Lüpertz among such diverse artists as Nicolas Poussin, Pierre Puvis de Chavannes, and Hans von Marées, as he continues to reinvent classicism and engage with tradition. Arcadia is the central theme of this latest exhibition at Michael Werner, which comprises over 24 paintings completed in 2016 and 2017. This is titled Morgan Wrote, or Red Dawn. This is mixed media on canvas in artist's frame, 102 by 78 3/4. Well, I first bumped into the work of Markus Lüpertz 1973, so that's about 45 years ago in Berlin. And, I was a young GI. And I happened to accidentally end up at the Neue National Gallery there. It's in a beautiful Mies van der Rohe building. And at that time they were having a Deutsches Kunstverein exhibition. And, I was very excited because although I had been to museums and I'd been to the Louvre, I never really had a chance to see a major art exhibition of young, active artists. And so that was my first chance. And people like Hannah Hawk were still alive, and she was in the show. Well, Markus Lüpertz was one of the people that stood out in my recollections, along with another guy that I have since met and become friends with, a wonderful painter named Wolfgang Petrick. I think one of the things I enjoy about Lüpertz's compositions is that because he does consider himself an abstract artist, even though he throws in these figurative forms, he kind of also has these other chunks, these other sections that are totally abstract and almost look like Tachelism, or maybe a little Franz Klein stuck in there. Now, we're going to look at these paintings, and I'll give you some slow pans over the surfaces and brushwork, and I'll give you maybe a little background for those of you that aren't familiar with Lüpertz and the whole, I guess what you would say, the reemergence of painting in Europe in the mid to late 70s. One thing that's interesting is that these pieces are all in pretty sophisticated artists' frames. So he's kind of taken time to color coordinate the frames, and also kind of paint in these faux marble spacers. It's titled Geburt des Centaur, Birth of the Centaur, 2017, mixed media on canvas in artist frame. Some of these little flashes of underpainting coming through are great, and I'm wondering what that little section of orange stands for. Is that the sunset? I don't know. One of the things that I like about a lot of the Trans-Avantgard painters is that they've got a wonderful sense of feel, real sensual pleasure in the handling of the paint and the pigment. This is titled Tod des Orpheus, or the Death of Orpheus. Mixed media in 2 parts. This is 79 by 31 inches. Oh my God, there's a little signature up there in the corner. Oh, it looks like there's a lot of blotting and smushing. I'm going to post a couple of links to some recent interviews that Lüpertz has given, kind of talking about the state of painting. I was looking through one before I came up, and he was talking about some of the mediums that he's using. So he says he's using not only oil paint, but also some acrylic, wax, shellac. And maybe if we get over here on the side so you can see the grading lights, you can see the variations between the different kind of glossiness and shine on the surface. Orpheus und Eurydice, 70 by 31. Well, as I said, I've been watching this work for, well, probably about 40 years. It wasn't until after I came back from Europe and then moved to New York in the late 70s that the whole European Trans-Avantgard sort of burst on the scene. Okay, let's take a little closer look at this. Okay, so we've got 2 panels that split with this, and then he's added an extra strip on the right side of the upper panel. So although I had seen a couple of these painters previously in Berlin, I didn't really know that there was a movement, a group of these people. And, well, I was a big fan of this whole thing because I love kind of the tradition of painting, the legacy of painting. And I was also, like a lot of people, incredibly bored with the kind of totalitarian, doctrinarian philosophy of minimalism and conceptualism. I mean, it was fun, but after 10 or 15 years, it kind of ran out of gas. This is titled Oracle 2017, 39.25 by 32 inches. So I was part of, I guess, a tiny little part of kind of a New York reaction to the minimalist conceptualists. And so we were looking at people like Kiefer, Lüpertz, Baselitz, Sandro Chia, Kuki Clementi, and some of the Figuration Libre people from France, Javi de Rosa. Now, as I'm going through this show and thinking about some of the reviews and stuff that I've read, I actually think this is maybe one of Lüpertz's stronger shows recently that I've seen. And strangely enough, I think the reason that it's, for me, is intriguing is that he's actually riffing on some very classic and influential German artists from the 19th century, and I'm thinking particularly of Hans von Marées, who was a big influence on Max Beckmann, and maybe Arnold Böcklin. Seems like a lot of these pieces he's kind of dealing with neoclassical or Greek myths. Oh gee, I just noticed we've got some text hidden here. What does it say? Does it say peace now? But he's got some very juicy, expressionistic brushwork in there. And also some of this, like I said, it's amazing to see the great variation in the surfaces he gets there. This is very dry, almost looks like tempera, and I think he might even use tempera on some of these. Yeah, one of the things I've noticed is that the Germans, particularly the northern Germans, use a lot of gray. Somehow they use it very effectively. This is titled Medea. And there's a wonderful tradition in German academic painting of these neoclassical themes. See a couple of his landscapes here. It's titled Arcadia, 39 by 32 inches. He's calling this mixed media. Well, I like the landscape, but then he's kind of painted in a frame with this, almost looks like camo pattern, grays and white. It's titled The Dämmerung, 2016. Figure in a landscape. I'm not sure, that might also be the title of part of Wagner's the Nibelungen opera. I'm not sure. Well, I remember coming up to the gallery a couple of years ago, and basically it was just the front gallery, and this was the part of the office, or maybe the killing room. And since then they've expanded it, so I really have enough room for a pretty substantial exhibition here. This is titled Narcissus II. And, well, in the interviews, Lüpertz talks about the fact that he considers himself an abstract painter, and even though there are figures, I think he's playing around a lot with his abstract forms, the shadows, and he's also he calls himself a champion of painting, and that's one of the things that I admire about him is he's a paint head. It's titled Cobra Moor, mixed media on canvas and chipboard. So we'll see in some of these that he's actually painting on cardboard or other various things that he's collaged onto the surface. I think this is actually looks like 3 panels. I think it was 1982. It was a big show that kind of debuted the Neo-Expressionists, the Trans-Avantgardists, and I believe it was at Marlborough, curated by Diego Cortez, titled Pressure to Paint. This is titled Der Traum, The Dream. And, well, I remember going to the opening and seeing this kind of bald-headed guy with a goatee, and he was up very animatedly discussing a painting and pointing at it, and then I saw him kind of reach out with his thumb and scrape the surface, and I knew that he was a painter because it's like a mechanic that tells you to kick the tires and slam the door. I could see the way that he was looking at and wanted to touch the surface, that he was someone that was a painter. It turned out it was his painting, but I could recognize that he had a real physical appreciation of painting. This is titled Der große Narcissus, The Great Narcissus, 2016. This is 63 by 51. Well, I think that he's also, maybe he worked at the Dusseldorf Academy for years, and then, well, in Germany, as soon as you hit 65, you're out the door. And he decided that he wanted to keep working, so I believe he set up his own art academy, his own kind of master painting academy. And, well, he's got a lot of interesting people that are working for him. I think he said Perk Kirby and Peter Doig. And this one, you almost have a reference to A.R. Pink here with this kind of skeleton. This is titled Das Gebet im Wald, The Prayer in the Forest, 2017, mixed media, 32 by 39. Well, this one definitely probably echoes Hans von Marées. And, well, there's some Cézanne in there as well. And I think Lüpertz would be the first one to tell you that he's not ashamed that he's working and maintaining a legacy that he's carrying on from some great neoclassical German painters. Okay, again, we've got like a double spacer in there. We've got one that's pink and one that's blue on the frame. Let's go in the last room. Well, I don't know whether this is intended as a polyiptych, a multiple panel piece, or whether these are individual, but this kind of sums up the whole show. He's got his Narcissus, the figure with the fruit. Die Türkin, the Turkish woman, 2017, 39 by 32 inches. Well, I think that there are probably a lot of people that think it would be a kind of a cop-out to kind of be working in the same modality as some of the classic 19th century, 17th century artists. On the other hand, that could be maybe one of the ultimate challenges for an artist that started out as the rough and ready, rugged street artist, Neo-Expressionist bad boy, and has kind of matured through all that and even conquered academia in a certain sense. This is titled Mistelzweig, mistletoe. And yeah, we'll get up and you can see the wonderful kind of scumbling and sgraffito and different things that he's doing. And again, a very kind of subdued palette, but yeah, within those grays, he's got violets, ochres, roses, lilac. I thought this was a fun piece. It's titled Nymph. Mixed media on corrugated board mounted on chipboard and artist's frame. Well, there's a nice quality about the ruggedness of the cardboard. Looks like he just went out in the street and found something that was tossed out. Looks like he's got footprints on there. And a lot of this is as dry as poster paint or tempera. And he's got a nice little zippy feel with his brush strokes. Somehow that section right there makes me think of Carl Schmidt-Brudloff. Well, Lüpertz talks about being born in the same town as Goebbels was born in, and at some point he went to school at the Dusseldorf Academy and got kicked out during the first semester he was there, and ended up going to Berlin. But at the time, this was during the Cold War, so Berlin was 90 miles within East Germany and was behind the wall. And if you went to Berlin, you would not have to serve in the military, and you would get subsidized housing and a lot of other things. So there were a lot of artists that were living in Berlin at the time. And it's titled Blut im Fuß, Blood in the River. I've got a little still life here. And at one point I actually considered and went and checked out the Hochschule für Kunst there and was thinking about enrolling, but yeah, I never did. Probably would have had a different life if I would have. This is Narcissus 1. And I was talking about the kind of the painted frames, and now that I'm looking at this, this is all just, it's like he's blotted stuff in there, maybe with some kind of sponge or paint rag. I've got a little figure with his flowers, and oh, I guess that's a laurels. Well, that was a tasty little trip down nostalgia lane. This has been James Kalm reporting on Markus Lüpertz's new paintings here at the Michael Werner Gallery for East 77th Street in Manhattan. Okay, post your comments and critiques below if you like, and help me with this. Thank you, Kate. Thank you.
Thank you.